This afternoon. It's a stormy afternoon, and let me just try to give you the lay of the land on that, just because it's nothing's on the severe side, but it could disrupt traffic this afternoon. We try to stay on top of that for you too on your way home. Most of this activity, let me get my other little radar pulled up here. Most of this stuff is kind of to the west of central Birmingham proper. Excuse me, to the east, over toward Talladega and Pell City. These storms just kind of, this is not a meteorological term, but they just sort of bubble up in the heat of the afternoon when it's this hot and humid. And they are drifting a little bit to the east. Most of them are just kind of hanging out and raining themselves out. So if you're heading anywhere from central Birmingham over, you're going to run into some of this stuff. And there could be some development around more in town as well, down 459. I think I see a little bit starting to happen just north of Birmingham. So again, if I had to call out some towns, Talladega, Aniana, Gadsden, some of that stuff's already starting to weaken over there. But a tremendous amount of lightning involved in these things. The thunder here has been pretty fierce, and I think I hear it raining on the building, so I think I'm finally getting some rain. We, as I've mentioned a lot of late, got some construction going on here, and those guys were still going at it, man. I thought they need to knock it off, and maybe they will now that the rain has started. So just letting you know that's in the on the radar this afternoon, and when you're heading home, be careful because, like I pointed out earlier, my experience has been sometimes when if you got continuous rain, you got a big system in, everybody just automatically slows down. But when you're just out there and you got your foot on the floor trying to get home, and suddenly you run into one of these storm situations and the traffic is all jacked up, you don't want to slide into that. So be careful, and we'll try to get you home this afternoon. 545-9950, still the phone number. It's always the phone number if y'all want to get in. We haven't really been call heavy at all so far today. I've had a lot of stuff going on as we continue with all the headlines of today, but we can let y'all throw some stuff on the table too if you want to react to any of these things. If I had to take it back to the top, we will start right back where we did at 2 to give you the latest. Of course, the biggest story so far today has been the Fauci contempt charge that came out of a Senate committee. That sort of circumvents the traditional process of going to the whole full Senate, and then you're dealing with the filibuster and the clock because, of course, the Senate's about to take off and go home for a month, mostly a month. They call it the August recess. It's not a conspiracy. They do it all the time. So you've got the contempt charge, which will get referred directly over to the Justice Department. We don't know where it goes from there. Todd Blanche is yet to be fully confirmed. And then you've got all the other things the Justice is dealing with. But this thing's red hot right now. It's got some heat on it. My theory, and I've said this over and over without going too deeply into it, we talked about Fauci for almost an hour as the show got started, is that really this is to create a test of the pardon that Fauci got. Because if they can get some conflict between his ability to testify and not testify based on that immunity agreement or that pardon that comes with that immunity, then you've got a serious legal question that courts love to entertain. Now, whether they can get past, I guess it'd be the D.C. Circuit, that'd be Jeanine Pirro, as long as she has the job. She seems to be sideways with the president for the moment. Then this thing, it may sit and flounder. I don't know how aggressive they're going to be, but it did make a point. And the other part of that storytelling today, too, was that we now know the Senate committee, through their subpoena process, has a copy of Fauci's phone from that time period. Well, let's talk about that. They didn't get the actual phone. The first reports that came out said they had, the phone. I thought they can't possibly still have the phone after all this time. But what they have is a copy of the iCloud backup that was, I presume, automatically done by Fauci's devices where he was communicating with people. And that could prove to be even more interesting than the so-called diary, which he was foolish enough to do on a government computer, which is how we even found all that contradictory information. So your gut tells you, man, this could be another mother lode of evidence from what Fauci was really doing and thinking and saying while he was coordinating this cover-up of his illicit funding of this dangerous lab. This guy's a villain in history, and I love that history is being corrected here in a big way, even though those that were duped into following all this nonsense religiously It became the God for a lot of people. Yeah, I think it was Churchill who said, for socialists and people who think that way, the bureaucrats are their priests. And he just further points out that government is their God. And so they worship this stuff, and still to this day will deny this contradictory information that's out now on what they thought they knew then. I mean, it's purely human to receive new information and adjust. I mean, I try to do it. Not always. Sometimes I'm hard-headed, but that's part of learning. That's part of life. That's part of maturing. It's part of wisdom, is to realize where you either were deceived or just had the wrong instincts about things. And some people just can't come around on it. So, but Fauci's still hanging out there. And if nothing, and again, my general take is, if I did it in a summary fashion, rather than the way we noodled through it at the beginning of the show, Fauci's not going to go to prison. I think they can pursue legal cases, maybe get that pardon challenged and stripped, which may create a situation where it gets other people that got those same fake pardons to be exposed on the auto pen issue. But you've got to have a test case. You got to have some reason to challenge the way that was done and where the presidential authority lies, and that could take years. Fauci will be dead before they adjudicate that. The other question about civil liability, I just don't see that happening. You can bring those suits, and somebody inevitably will, but the success of prosecuting a government official acting in their official capacity, even though I mean they got so many firewalls against the federal government and those agencies, and that's what Fauci will hide behind. So I know we've got these states that are doing it. I heard Tuberville talking today about trying to look into, see if our attorney general will look into some Fauci charges. I don't mind them pressing him. I don't mind him being held accountable. I love the discovery part of all this. The fact that Rand Paul didn't give up is why we have the phone in the diary anyway. At least that gets the information out to the public. And I can pretty much assure you that somebody's probably, now that they've acknowledged they've got a copy of his phone records, that there's somebody that's probably multiple people that have filed FOIA requests, probably not CNN because they don't see the urgency here. But you have multiple news outlets nowadays that would want to get access to this information and make it public, which it should be. Our lives were wrecked by this man and what he was doing. We need to know everything. Public disclosure, to me, is a big part of this. Accountability for Fauci, I don't know. Some of that's because of his age and how long it's been. There are so many obstacles. But public disclosure, correcting the record, learning from our mistakes of trusting that ridiculous government system that we have, it's important. And one other note, and I went through this sort of tirade at the beginning of the show. This was from the beginning, and I've given this speech since back in the days when this stuff was happening to us, once we realized it was coming from the lab. And I remember, I mean, there were so many people that got their jobs in jeopardy. I'll just be transparent here. It came a couple of times in the last few years with my employment here as to the way some of these mandates were being enforced and all this stuff was going down. We lost colleagues over these issues. Some of y'all did too. We kicked people out of the military. That's not even counting the people that died and couldn't hold grandma's hand in the hospital when she died. It's just insidious. And the thing to know is this was government from the beginning. Everything about this was government. This was horrifying government from beginning to end. From the funding of the labs, those were government labs funded with government money from the United States, from China, from France. They created this Frankenstein that got out into the world, intentionally or not. And then everything about the cover-up, the bad advice, the misdirection, all that was government covering for itself. It was not just Fauci. He's the personification of it, but it was just government in general. It's the very thing our founders feared. They didn't fear a pandemic. They had their own pandemics back then with smallpox and things like that. They feared government creating these monsters and then pretending to be the heroes to go after the monster, lying to us the whole time. Everything about it, shutting down the economy, paying people during the shutdown to stay home. Some of these lazy ass people were being paid and they didn't go to work anyway. Some people were being paid with PPP loans they didn't have to pay back for businesses that didn't exist. There are billions out there floating around in the economy. Plus, that created inflation pressure on the economy by just putting all these dollars out there. This guy and our government as an institution was at the very beginning of it. This was not something that just happened that they reacted to poorly. This was something they caused and then turned around and covered their own asses over. It's just such an outrage. But sometimes the truth can set you free, and maybe this phone information will be just that. All right, let's do some calls. What do y'all think? Other stuff in the news, we'll get to it as things happen this afternoon. Darwin is up next on line 4. Let's see what he's got to say. What's up, Darwin?
Hey, Leland, it's great to hear from you. On these missiles and their stockpile, relax. They started building the Patriot missile for the Proving Grounds in 1977. They didn't reach full production until the early 80s. And it's never been under wartime production. And this is a scare tactic used by the Democrat socialists. They did the same thing with our artillery ammo when in the first couple of years of the Ukraine deal. And we've never went to wartime production on the Patriot missiles and intercepts and all that stuff. We've never done it. But that is an option. It goes back to your appropriations committee, which does it by threat assessment and all that other good stuff. It gets complicated. But, for that particular theater, we may be down a little lower than what we would like to be, but it's not nothing that our industrialization can't overcome in a short period of time if we need them to. But it's all about, what do you want to pay for?
Yeah, I mean, we know our capabilities our capabilities go back to World War II when we didn't even have. We created an actual war machine in months in this country, whole battleships and all the planes and everything that had to happen. So we know we're capable of it. And you're right. The supplies have the way they calculate that is you've got to have enough for the theater, but in proper strategy, you'd have enough for something else that outbreaks. And when you start getting low on part of it, they start saying, well, you're at the threshold. And some of this, I think, is two groups of people. One are the people that want the extra money in the Pentagon's budget to resupply, and they got to pour mouth and make the best case. And then you got people that are exaggerating that pour mouthing back to the world to pretend like the war effort's falling apart for their own reasons because they want it to fall apart. They want to bolster the Iranians in some way. And so, there's that.
Yeah, a lot of that goes back to, I call Joe Biden and Harris Dipstick Joe and his giggling machine. They didn't do a whole lot for us in that theater right there. But y'all have a good day and God bless you. Just relax. Everything's fine.
I got you. The other thing, Darwin, with some calm in that situation. The other thing the Biden administration did that left us vulnerable, and we're having to deal with it too, is the depletion of the petroleum reserve. Let's talk about that for a minute. They actually, we have these physical places where we store some of the reserve, and they use so much of it to prop up Joe Biden's crappy economy and the inflation that was going on. Again, gas price politics. If they can just flood enough out there to get the price down, which we only had enough to pull it down for 2 months. And again, the price was up because of them and because of their attack on the whole industry. So then they go deplete the reserves, which are for emergencies. They're not for a president who's in trouble in the polls because the gas price is too high. They're for wartime or emergency situations. It's a strategic thing we do just in case. They depleted some of the salt domes and took some of the oil out in some places where it kind of caused a collapse of the storage facility. They've had to go back and re-engineer the storage facilities and rehabilitate them to refill them, and we're in the process of trying to refill it. But that also left us in a militarily in a vulnerable position by the way they used oil politics. They're not the first administration to do it. Previous presidents have taken some of those reserves, the reserve barrel oil that's kept, and put it on the market. And here's the dumb thing: we'll start filling it up when oil's $120 a barrel, and then turn around and sell it on the open market when it's 65. It's really stupid, but there it is. There's some of that too. All right, Southern Skies Dermatology. Let's talk about your health and your skincare and all that stuff. Many of you you could go years without ever thinking about whether or not you have skin cancer. I totally understand. Maybe you're not as sensitive as I have with family members and friends that have come down with terrible cases of melanoma and other issues. But I'm here to remind you to go get checked. All of us are vulnerable to some degree, some a whole lot less than others. Age is a factor, but it's not the factor. There's a misnomer that somehow this is an old people thing. I've had family members and friends in their 20s that have had to have removals done. And then there are those of us that did a lot more damage than others. There are plenty of factors. You need to know where you stand. It could save your life. And Southern Skies Dermatology is a practice dedicated to nothing but skin cancer. They find it, they remove it, they clear people of it every single day. And it's really good news to know that you've caught something early and it's going to be okay. Southern Skies, Dr. Mario and the whole team, by the way, they do the Mohs procedure. It was the only way you ever want to have a removal done. It's with Mohs. Learn about it and take care of yourself. Heck, take somebody with you and let me know you're okay. I love getting the stories where people go and they actually find something they didn't expect and they're so glad they went. That's what it's all about. Southern Skies Dermatology.com. Locations all around town. Southern Skies Dermatology.com. Back here in just a minute. All right, it's 426, Leland Live Talk 995 Work Trucks, downtown Birmingham, ready to take care of you. If you got any kind of truck need when it comes to a business-based truck, you know what I mean, those commercially built trucks, they're kind of plain Jane, base white. They don't have anything fancy on them. They're just made to get stuff done. Bubba and the team go out to the aftermarket, to the off-lease market, and get these lightly used trucks. Then they bring them back here and do this vetting process that would be difficult for the rest of us to do. I don't even know what 125 things you would check, but they've got 125 things that they will not put the truck on the lot unless it's passed all those inspections. So these are as new gets, but you get the pre-owned price, and that's just a good way to do business. Plus, it saves you time trying to do all this yourself. You get the pre-owned price backed with warranties and financing. It's a cool dealership, kind of turnkey for business. Box trucks, cargo vans, passenger vans, flatbeds, pickup trucks, and other stuff. I don't even know what you call it down there. Work trucks, put an X in there. If you want to go online and take a look at the inventory or get their phone number, or just breeze in down there on 3rd Avenue and tell them we said hey and kick some tires on your truck at Work Trucks, TRUX, Work Trucks, LLC.com, WorkTrucksLLC.com. Let's get Daryl in here over in Gardendale. What's up, Daryl?
Hey guys, just want to let you know, y'all talking about the missiles may not be having enough and stuff like that. In our Gulf War, we were issued M9 pistols, and they were 9mm. When we got to Saudi, our pistols didn't make it, so we were given 45 1911. I shot ammo from 1943.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So we had that, and then they're looking, they're like, oh, we have some of the older ammo also for the M16. I shot 5.56 that was from the Vietnam era. So if you're telling me in 1990 you still have ammo from 43 left over, and you still have it from the 70s, right, for 5.56, yeah, we have plenty of stuff that right now somebody wants to make some extra money, and they're saying we need more. And that's all that is, because we stockpile everything.
Yeah, and I think they're trying to say this is sophisticated missile systems. And again, it doesn't mean that they're over there with empty warehouses in the Middle East and have nothing to shoot. It just means supplies are lower than you want in case you have other needs. And I don't think it's about small arms. It's of course about these multi-million dollar systems. And they're working through it. We've got the money. We've got the ability to do it. I think it'll all be fine, man.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, go Army. Have a wonderful day, guys.
Daryl just reminded me of something I remember from reporting. I was assigned over to Fort Benning in the first Gulf War in the same time period he was talking about. I should have asked him about this. But I remember going over there doing a story. At one point, this was under, I guess it was late George Bush when Clinton came in. I want to say Clinton was the president, so this would have been after 92. But at one point, they had training going on at Fort Benning, and those guys were running low on small arms ammo. They literally had to run around during their, I'm not making this up, they had to run around during their training and go bang. Instead of actually firing the weapon, they'd just say bang when they practice, maneuvers and whatever to save ammo. And some of the folks got so demoralized, they just started leaving the military. They didn't have training ammo for a while for the small arms stuff, or at least they were saying that. That was back in the early 90s. All right, back in a minute, bottom of the hour, 4:30. Y'all stay tuned. Leland Live. All right, y'all, 435 as we just cruise right along this afternoon. 545-9950 if y'all want in on this, come get in on this. We'll put you on the radio. Lanius Furniture Company next up here on the show. Launius. I always spell it for you because some of y'all are going to want to go to the website and look at the brands. What you're going to see there are brands you recognize like Bassett and Lazy Boy and this Stressless line. I haven't talked about it in a while, but they've got a whole sort of area dedicated to the Stressless furniture line. And I get reports from people here in the audience that say they have chronic back pain issues or even sciatic issues and other issues. And these chairs are a huge difference maker because they're adjustable. Now, they're beautiful and a little bit modern in terms of the styling. They're probably not for everybody's styling because this is a European brand, but it's really on the higher end of furniture and people love them. I mean, even the whole couch is adjustable so you can get in that position that's just right after a long, hot day and take care of yourself in the evening time. It's Lanius Furniture Company. They've got something for you between now and the end of September that I think is a pretty cool deal. They've got up to 48 months financing interest free. You got to have good credit, got to pay your bills. You know how some of those interest free offers, if you miss payments, you don't do it right, you'll wind up getting the interest charge. But if you do it according to the schedule and do things right, it's pretty cool to be able to extend that out, not have to come out of pocket, and then get everything you want because you're going to find selection and deals and all these nice things right there under one roof. Just no reason to shop anywhere else. It's all right there in one stop at Lanius Furniture Company on I-65, right off the 280 exit in Kimberly, Alabama. Y'all go see Reggie and the team at Lanius Furniture Company. All right, let's get Tony in here. We'll keep going with the phone calls. Again, whatever y'all want to throw down. We got on to Iran for a little bit. We're pretty loose now. I think we've dealt with some of the heavier stuff. Tony, what's up, buddy?
I've been working a lot, so I haven't been able to really listen to y'all, but haven't heard much about what's going on with this Iran war, but I do see gas prices are getting close to $4 a gallon, and the Brent crude oil prices are getting on up there, so tomorrow will be 160 days since the war kicked off on February the 28th. On the 60-day war that has tomorrow will have gone now 160 days, and there's a lot of families struggling to make ends meet and struggling with gas prices and food prices, and just wanted to see if there's any talks of when this war might end and when gas prices might come down. But I will hang up the phone and listen.
Well, stay on the phone so I can get you caught up. Are you going to hang on? Is he going to take off? All right, he's going to take off. That's fine, AJ. That was just a whole lot of bad information in one phone call. The per barrel price, I was trying to pull that up real quick. Let me see if I can get the commodities pulled up. I haven't looked at where it closed today. It has not skyrocketed. It's not much larger than it was. All right, let me find the WTI. I think that's the one he was quoting. So Brent today, the last close was $83. It was right around 70 when all this started. The WTI is at 77. That's the West Texas Index. And the gas prices are, gas is not $4 in Alabama. Maybe it is where you are, but I looked today when I was out running around. It was about $3.30 something for gasoline. Now diesel's been up there, and tell me about it. I bought, what did I buy? Like 1,500 gallons on that Western trip, paying $5 almost a pop. So yeah, it's an immediate situation that's caused, we know why it's there. We've seen it come down when the things get under control. Ships are moving through the strait. We had another caller saying that the strait was closed. It's not closed. It's still under threat because the hostage takers in the Iranian government and some of their factions are still threatening ships, but largely our military president has stuff moving, even though it's not free and clear and open and free from threat. So you're wrong on the gas price. You're wrong on the crude price. Some of the inflationary prices that we're dealing with right now, it sucks to go to the grocery store or to buy food, but we're still dealing with the inflation in food, particularly that happened after COVID and after that big spending bill that Biden and the Democrats put on us that jacked everything up. prices are, once you cause inflation, prices generally just don't fall back to any previous amount. We've seen that throughout the history of our economy. What we can do, though, is grow wages. And I saw a statistic today, because I'm a stat nerd with this stuff. I'm trying to quote from memory, but it was around wage growth is up now for the first time in a while. We're going up. We've up to 3%. GDP numbers pretty solid. Unemployment's in a good place. Manufacturing starts are about to blow through the roof. We are so poised for everything to go right. The gas price is not holding the whole world down. I know people still love to bitch about it, but there is a psychology with that. And I was just talking about it last hour of why Biden depleted the petroleum reserve just to get a little bit of a downward pressure so he could say they were going down. He blew our resources. They went down for about 8 weeks and went right back up because they were hostile toward the industry. The prices at the pump right now, most thinking people understand this. The prices at the pump are temporary and completely adjacent to the situation with Iran. It's not because the administrative policy of the Trump administration is hostile toward energy production. It's the opposite. Drill, baby, drill was a thing. Trump got those prices down prior to the Iran situation. And we're not up, but on the WTI, for example, we're only up $8 from when this whole thing started. The Iranians needed to get oil to about $130 to crash the world. It's a worldwide traded commodity, and that was their plan all along. They did not succeed in that. In no way are they winning. And the war, as far as the war's over. If war is two sides shooting at each other, they've not shot at us since a day into the campaign. I mean, they've shot missiles and they've lobbed some things at their neighbors, but they're not shooting directly at us. They have no real capability, and we're blowing stuff up at will. In fact, we've run out of a lot of the military targets. We keep running out of a target list, and that causes us to have to pause too while we try to negotiate a surrender of these people. I don't think anything they agree to is going to be worth anything anyway. The next president can just blow it up. But they don't have a nuclear threat right now, and they won't for another 10 years. They've lost their missile capacity. They couldn't raise the price of crude the way they wanted. So they've almost lost all leverage. But they're kooks. They are in-time homicidal maniacs in that regime that took that country by force. They were not voted in. They took over, took our people hostage, kept them for 444 days, and murdered, some estimates are 100,000 of their own citizens in the takeover 47 years ago. And they've been threatening the region and the world since. So, yes, this is a just cause, and I'm willing to pay for higher gas for the rest of the year. I don't give a damn. This is a big picture issue. And we'll see how it affects the elections. But sometimes you just got to do the right thing. And I think Trump did after previous presidents failed to contain these people. At least we've got them cornered. How does it end? I don't know. When does it end? I do not know. It's unpredictable. But it's not, this in no way is Iraq or Afghanistan all over again, because we're not on the ground. We're not committed to staying there. We're not trying to prop up a government. We're barely shooting right now. We'll bomb for a few days just to pressure them and sit back and wait and see if something happens. It's cat and mouse, and they're completely the mouse. So, yeah, I reject almost everything on that phone call. Who's next, AJ? Is it Daryl? Let me keep going with the phones. I love the calls, though. Thanks for your calls, no matter what side you're on. Daryl's up next. What's up, Daryl?
Hey, listen, I know we got a whole bunch of stuff going on, but I wanted to ask, did you hear about some kind of bill that they were going to pass against the United States Post Office?
No, what do you mean against the post office?
Well, they were supposedly going to pass a bill where a lot of these top people couldn't get bonuses if post office wasn't producing, I'm assuming, get the mail in and out quick enough.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering if you had heard anything about that.
No, I would have to plead ignorance on that. That sounds reasonable, that the management would be held accountable, but I don't know where that would be or what the status is right now.
I don't know if that was a state thing or if that was
well, state wouldn't have any purview over the post office. It'd have to be the federal government. Yeah.
Well, horror story. My mom passed away last year, and we finally sold her house and everything. And I filled out a change of address, to have her mail come to my house. Funny thing, no mail came to her house, and my mail was going to her house. Now, I know
Lord.
the card I filled out. I looked at it. It said my mama and her address sent all her mail to my address. And when I contact the post office, they're like, "No, that's not possible." And I'm like, "Well, somebody did something wrong." And to this day, I still feel like I'm not getting my mail.
Yeah, I guess the good thing for most of us is there's not much that's important that's in the mail anymore. It used to be vital, and it still is for some things. But look,
I know it's a first world problem, but I'm just saying.
well, that's okay.
I want to know more about the bill that I kind of had heard about.
Yeah, if I'll look into it. I don't know. I guess you'd be pro accountability in that matter.
Yes.
Well,
There's
the
a
thing
lot of
is,
accountability. I'm telling you what, when AI takes over,
oh yeah,
I don't want to hear none of these people whine about losing their jobs, because ain't none of them doing their jobs.
well, it's always been a bureaucratic, larded up system. One of my best friend's dad growing up was a postmaster, so I've kind of seen it from behind the scenes. There's some really good folks that run these local offices, and they have to put up with whatever the hiring process is at the time. And then that,
Well,
I love my mail carrier. They do a good job. And I'll tell you what, to add to your story, I bought this house, and for about 5 years, I was still getting mail for the previous owners. And now they're sweet people, and I love them to death. They live down the road from me, so I'm able to take them their mail when I get it. Yeah, that's just the way it goes sometimes. It is an inefficient, loaded up, broke system, and it needs to be reformed. In this modern age, there's got to be a better way to do it.
Yeah, I don't mean just post office. All these people you call on the phone for technical support and this, that, and the other,
Oh, yeah.
they act like it's an imposition to even talk to you. So.
Yeah, they do. If you can get a human, it's hard to get a human.
All right, thank you, man. I appreciate your time.
All right, there you go, Daryl. I wish I knew more. I just don't know about any kind of reform bill. But it would be time, because I did hear a story recently about they're on the path to go broke again. This country would not have been able to exist without. I guess it started with the Pony Express, and the Postal Service, has fits and starts, but right now they're in a bad spot for sure. Tony is up next on line one. What's up, Tony?
Yeah, different Tony. Not the asshat that called earlier, if I could say that.
Okay, yeah, say what you want.
Sorry, but I drive every day, all day long, and the gas prices I see, they vary, but I haven't seen anything close to $4 in a while. So I'm happy to say that with what's going on, and it needs to be taken care of. But I don't see people suffering as bad as that, and as the way that guy made it sound. But he gave a bad name for Tony's. That's just my comment.
No, he does not speak, for the record, for all Tonys. We'll let you be the Tony spokesperson today, because you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much for what you all do. I was glad to meet you all at the Jawbone Jam, and I look forward to the next one.
Yeah, man. We appreciate you coming out. Appreciate your call today, too. Thanks, Tony. So I'm trying to look back. I thought Gary Palmer had sent me something, and I did not respond to him yesterday because I was in the middle of something. But I think he was giving me some info on where gas was. So just for perspective, and because we have this completely distorted, we're literally being gaslit over gas. Y'all realize that? I mean, we're being gaslit over gas. First up, let's take the national average. So the mainstream media, it is an average. They'll throw the national average out there. Well, you know what screws up the average? States like California, which have almost regulated gasoline out of business, where it is $6 or $7 a gallon, and they have a huge proportional share with all those drivers of gas stations. And I don't know how if they average a state, then they average all the states, or if they just average all the gas stations put together. But California skews the average. So does New Jersey and some of these other high tax aggressive states. Whereas you've got other states that are a little closer to what you would see everywhere else in terms of the price. Secondly, we were paying, and I'm trying to go back in my mind to the exact year, but I was working for the United States Congress in 1999. That's when it went over $1. And so again, that's been I'm trying to do some quick math in my head. Where were we 28 years ago? Let's just round off and say 30 years ago, we were knocking around $1 a gallon, and that freaked people out. I've told the story over and over again about the phone ring off the hook for days and days and days when it got to $1. I mean, it was like a crisis in the country. And if you index for inflation since 28 years ago, what hasn't tripled in price? I mean, everything, the cost of, think of anything that you paid for back in the late 90s. There's no way it's not doubled or tripled. So gas, even indexed for inflation, is about where it was in terms of what everything else cost years ago. It's still lower today than it was on average during the Biden administration, for most of the Biden administration. Because, again, they were trying to wreck the whole industry over their mouse fart and unicorn dream energy strategy, which, of course, did not pay off. So am I trying to be insensitive in saying that that it's killing people out here, that it's wrecking whole lives because the gas price is $3.38 right now? No, it is not, because look, I don't care how poor you are, but to fill up your tank between now and before this thing started with Iran, it's probably costing you another 80 cents. What is that? Maybe $15 to fill up. Our World War II, I don't even want to be lecturing right now, but the World War II generation that literally had to sacrifice, y'all, they didn't have sugar, they didn't have coffee, they didn't have gas. They had to ration gas. We were rationing gas in the 70s when I was a kid. I remember all the adults bitching about it. We're not anywhere close to that. The supply's there. Most of y'all can fill up anywhere you want to fill up. It's more expensive, but proportionally, it's not crushing people's souls out there that it costs another $15. Now, on top of everything else, yeah, I get it. And the economy still sucks from all the government spending that caused all this in the first place. But this shouldn't be the pivotal issue of our time. But we get ourselves talked into this, and I think the psychology is we ride down the road every day and we look up and see those big old billboards, and it's right in our face, and somehow we measure our personal well-being based on that price. And it's just something that's built in to being an American. I'm sure other countries deal with it somewhat that way too, but we're very car-driven, and it does get built into everything else. And yes, it's higher, but it's not $6 a gallon. We're not running out of gas. We're not having to ration things because we're on a war footing. It's a gigantic ass inconvenience that could end tomorrow if they decide to unwind the conflict. And we know that. We know why it is. There's cause and effect. It's not even the systemic stuff where the Bidens and before that Obama were lopping off federal land, wouldn't let us drill, closing off the Gulf of America. They were closing off offshore drilling in certain places where we couldn't explore. Heavily taxing some of the industry, just causing all kind of pressure on the whole system, along with other countries that were doing the same thing to the oil and gas business. Yeah, we rely on it. We depend on it. We got to have it. But it is just pure propaganda poppycock that's the biggest issue in the country right now. Now, let me back up and say this. If it's a concern to you, it's a concern to you. And if you ask a lot of people, that will come top of mind. But the reality is there's a whole hell of a lot of other stuff facing us that's going pretty well and starting to change for the better economically. And we're going to see that fruit pretty soon. Now, the caveat to that is if these socialist-loving, terrorist-hugging thugs in the Democrat Party somehow get control again, all that goes to hell because the reforms get slowed down, the economy will slow down. They'll throw themselves in front of a train to get under Trump's skin or to just to oppose him, and they could really hurt some of the progress that's been made in the last 18 months. Back in a minute. Y'all stay tuned. All right, y'all. Alabama Dental Associates. Next up here on the show, we all need a dentist. And sometimes it's emergency, and sometimes it's the routine stuff. It's the routine stuff a lot of people try to put off because, I mean, it's inconvenient. You got a lot going on. It's something a lot of people don't enjoy doing in the first place. They actually understand that at Alabama Dental. They understand the reluctance and the hesitancy. That's why they created a practice that treats us like human beings by being open as late as 7 o'clock at night and on Saturdays. That's nice. If you're rushing around all the time, just doing the routine stuff, like getting cleanings and x-rays and your checkup, knocking that out with a cup of coffee on a Saturday morning, good stuff. Same thing applies if you're having an emergency and you've got chronic issues and tooth pain and you really need some help and you can't wait till Monday. Well, you've got a practice that can squeeze you in. They're good like that. It's Alabama Dental, 4 dentists. Dr. Brian's my personal dentist and my friend, but 4 dentists in this practice with 4 different specialties, and these guys can handle what you bring in the door. It's a super practice. It's alabamadental.com, alabamadental.com. Well, I appreciate our listeners being good producers for us out there. So, you guys are so good helping us with traffic reports and weather situations, and in this case, the bill about the post office. So a couple of people sent me links from the previous caller, and I'll get you updated. Apparently, Josh Hawley has put out legislation that would cut the bonuses for the executives in the Postal Service because of the years of financial losses, lost mail. I mean, we've got issues with them with these mail-in ballots as well. A lot of stuff needs to be reformed, and like with anything that's government-oriented, these things are top-down for the most part. So Hawley's trying to keep, I mean, who knew they got big bonuses? They said the last 3 years, Lois DeJoy's tenure as Postmaster General, the Board of Governors approved more than $567,000 in bonuses. And that, there's no need to pay him bonuses to a failed organization. Boy, I could make some jokes right there. I'll just let that be. It is 5 o'clock. Leland Live, Talk 99.5. Y'all stay tuned. We'll keep going. Back in a minute.